Good morning. Let's try that one more time. Good morning. There we go. Welcome to worship with First Unitarian Church of Omaha. Y'all hear me? Is the microphone on? If you can hear me, say chalice. All right. Welcome to worship with the community of First Unitarian Church of Omaha. I'm Reverend Shari Woodbury, the congregation's minister. Whether you're attending online or here in the sanctuary, I'm glad you've chosen to spend some time with this community. We come together each week to worship. That's a word that from the Latin means to remember that which is of worth. And so we gather together in Community Weekly to be regrounded in our highest values. A special welcome to visitors. Can I invite all the kids to turn and wave at any visitors that might be in the congregation? This congregation is a community of all ages and abilities. It's a community with a rainbow of gender and sexual identities. It's a community of diverse cultural and class backgrounds. We draw from many sources of inspiration and share common liberal religious values. Whoever you may be, we invite you to bring your whole self into this space. If you're joining us online, I encourage you to create a YouTube account and sign into it when you attend that way. This will allow you to participate in the comments for joys and concerns, and sometimes other parts of the service, as is true today. Everyone's invited to subscribe to our channel and also share services that touched you with others that you think might enjoy the message. This morning's service is for all ages, so children and youth are invited to stay in the sanctuary throughout the service. So there's no religious education this morning in our elementary and middle high classrooms. Our nursery is open and staffed as usual. First Unitarian occupies the traditional treaty lands of the Omaha and Otoe-Missouri tribal nations, whose sovereignty existed long before the state of Nebraska. We like to extend our respect as well to the Ponca, Winnebago, and Santee Sioux tribes, all of Nebraska, and many others that are present in the Omaha metro area. Our aspiration is that we continue to educate ourselves and support causes, charities, and rights of Indigenous peoples in our area. And now, because this is a participatory service, I invite you all from your seat to join in our gathering chant, which is in the gray hymnal. It's number 73, Chant for the Seasons. There's 4 verses there. We're just going to do the second one, which is marked Winter. Please don't, Reese. I invite forward 2 of our youth, Samara and Avenel, to light the flaming chalice. And you all can see the chalice sliding words on the screen. All together. Spark of the Spirit, cupped in earth's embrace, light of love, alive in all creation. As we kindle this flame, we rekindle our connection to the sacred web of life. Thank you. The air blows around the world and brings us our breath.
The fire streams forth from the sun without ceasing and sustains our lives.
The water flows across the ground and within our blood.
The strength of the earth and the stones, and the same is the source of our bones.
By these elements, we are formed.
By our voices, the beauty of the creation is sung.
I invite you to rise, if that feels good in your body, and join in singing number 57, All Beautiful, the March of Days.
Our winter solstice service this morning is based on the original story and script by the Reverend Sunshine Jeremiah Wolfe. This is an interactive service. When I conclude this introduction, I will ask for volunteers, children, adults alike, to take up a mask and be part of the story. The heart of the service is the celebration and recognition of the winter solstice. It falls on December 20th through the 23rd, with the exact date and time determined by the position of the sun. It is the longest night and shortest day of the solar year. It has many names: Yule, midwinter, hibernal solstice, midpoint of Celtic winter. Imagine yourself centuries ago in a climate zone not so different from that of Europe. The harvest is long over. The winter is upon you. The air is turning colder and colder. The days shorter and shorter, and the nights longer and longer. Much time will pass before fresh shoots come forth from the earth again. You're completely dependent upon the food stocks that you have stored from the fertile time of year, and upon which animals you can spare to be slaughtered. With luck, you'll have enough fuel or fat to provide life for some part of the long night. Travel, never good, is now worse than ever. You stay in your home, try to keep warm, and wait for the sun to return. Solitude, silence, and darkness become your companions. Perhaps in the 21st century, humans are less at the mercy of the changing seasons and the elements than people of earlier eras. But we too feel this loss of the sun and the lengthening of the night. We too enter the time of depending on what is stored to sustain us. We feel the swings of the earth. We too can wish and wait for the hope of life to be renewed and spring come again. Winter solstice is the longest night in that long winter, but carries the promise of spring. From that night on, the days will become longer until warmth and fertility return to the earth. The pivotal night is celebrated with feasting, music, dance, and festivity of all sorts. Holly, fir, and other evergreens symbol the life eternal because they stay green through the winter, are brought into the house. Families and friends brave traveling to celebrate together. Many cultures and tradition honor the winter solstice. This story is one to imagine how it all began, before humans were in the world. This is an original story by Reverend Sunshine Jeremiah Wolfe, with adaptations by Reverend Jennifer Innes. We thank them for sharing it. As we begin, imagine a time when the world was wild, and the sun and the rain and the water and the moon cared for the earth, and the creatures that dwelled here were just opinionated and unique as we are. Everyone who is in our cast and crew should be on the first two rows with your props. Is there anybody that would like to join in the story?
We've given away all the named parts and masks, but if anyone would like to join in when we get back to the story and be an animal, you can just come forward when the animals appear in the story and act like an animal. Oops. Okay, so we come to the time for sharing of joys and concerns. Every week, we share those things that are filling our lives with goodness and our hearts with warmth and cheer so that others may be uplifted with us. And we also share those challenges that we face, those things that are difficult, so that our community can offer their care. I think Colin's got a couple to share with us. Any week, those here in the sanctuary can write joys and concerns in the binder at the back of the sanctuary.
I would like to thank the congregation and the caring team, everyone that has reached out to me. My mother is no longer in the ICU. She is starting to take down food, and she's no longer in the neck brace, so there is some improvement. Thank you very much. And another concern from Catherine Plumley, who says, my dad, George Plumley, is in the hospital with pneumonia. Thoughts, prayers, good vibes, and healing energy sent his way are greatly appreciated.
Thank you, Colin. The holidays can be an especially poignant time of year. Alongside the joy in these present moments, we may recall fond memories of past celebrations with loved ones.
As we carry on traditions, we may especially miss our dear ones who we have lost to death, distance, or dementia, or we may be more sharply aware of an estrangement. Love, joy, and wonder may bubble up unbidden this season, but so too may sorrow, loneliness, or regret.
You're invited to weave a ribbon through one of the wreaths here at the front of the sanctuary, in memory of those who are no longer with you this Christmas, or to mark any other loss or separation that you may carry in your heart.
Those who are joining us online can put in the chat names or just the relationship to you of any person for whom you would like a ribbon tied. We will tie them.
Let's begin now, starting with the back rows and then moving forward. And if you prefer, you can also tie a ribbon after the service. As we look upon the holiday wreaths now, we see them adorned with many ribbons. Let us recognize the losses and the sorrows that these ribbons represent. And let us see that no one here need be alone with such pain. We can weave each other back into community and connection, just as we have woven our separate ribbons to create something beautiful.
Please know that our minister and carry team remain available at this time of year as always. If you are experiencing loss or sorrow this holiday season, members of our team are ready with listening ears. Please look around and know that there are many people here who care about you and would want you to reach out to them.
We are here for you.
Those things down.
Yeah.
Once, Robin and Al had an argument. Al said, "Night is the best time of day." Robin said, "Daytime is the best part of day." Al and Robin wanted to be right so much that they did not listen to one another. They argued and argued and argued. The animals and plants and insects begged them to stop arguing. But Al knew she was right, and Robin knew she was right, and on they argued. I'm sorry? Wind. Okay. Rain. And even sun. Begged them to stop arguing, but Al and Robin wanted to be right. It would have been fine if the argument had only been between Al and Robin. However, when people argue, their friends often take sides. The animals and insects and plants began to side with Al and Robin, depending on their favorite part of the day. The argument grew and grew until people began to stop talking to one another and would even refuse to be near each other except for to argue. Elements. Now the elements of the earth were old: the sun, the moon, the wind, water, fire, earth, the nighttime void, and the stars had great power between them and grew weary of the constant battling amongst the animals, insects, and plants. At dusk, at dawn, for 4 days, they met to decide what, if anything, they could do. At dawn on the 4th day, the spirits asked all the animals to listen. The moon said, "We are greatly troubled by your big argument. We do not like to see you fight so much." The stars said, "We are saddened and are clearly unwanted by many of you." The nighttime void said, "Therefore, we, the moon, stars, and nighttime void, are leaving you. We have enjoyed our time together, but it is time for us to go." And with a loud, thunderous clap, the moon and stars and nighttime void were gone. The wind and water had agreed that they would only have it rain for an hour a day so that there could be as much sunlight as possible. For a few days, many of the creatures were relieved. There was sunlight all the time. Many of them were happy to see that they could see whenever they needed to. They could stay up and play, work, and eat at all hours of the day. However, their happiness did not last long. Many creatures found it difficult to sleep. They did not have nighttime to remind them to rest. They did not know when to stop eating. The 1 hour of rain each day provided a slim moment of serenity for many. After 7 days, the creatures that needed nighttime began to get sick. They were dying because they could not survive in just the sun. Al became angrier. He went to the sun and yelled and screamed, "You see, look how we suffer. I was right, nighttime is better." Eventually, all the animals and plants and insects who sided with Al, and even some of the ones who sided with Robin, began to yell at the sun. They shouted together, "We want nighttime, we want nighttime," and the elements knew it was time. After the 1 hour of rain on the next day, the sun made another announcement. "I am greatly troubled by your big argument. I do not like to see you fighting so much. I am saddened and I am unwanted by many of you. Therefore, I am leaving you. I have enjoyed our time together, but it's time for me to go. I will ask the moon and the stars and nighttime void to return." There was a loud thunderclap, and the world went dark immediately.
All right. During our next song, those who have donations of winter gear and earbuds and so on for teens at Youth Emergency Services can bring them forward. We're going to have some boxes up front here for you to put them in. And meanwhile, the rest of us from our seats are invited to sing in the teal hymnal, number 1055, "How Sweet the Darkness." And we'll let Jay play through that for us once so we can catch the melody. I invite you to enter a period of quiet for guided meditation. You may want to adjust your way you're sitting so your spine is erect. I suggest for the kiddos, if you're up for it, you might even sit cross-legged somewhere on a pew or on a floor. And you might want to put your hands in your lap, close your eyes, and shut out all the distractions of the light because the sun has gone away. Let us take a few deep breaths and begin. And I'm going to invite everyone to quietly picture what I'm describing. Now, with your vision muted, notice what are your other senses telling you. You may feel a sense of pressure in your back or your sitting bones, where your body comes in contact with the pew. You may have a feeling of tightness in your shoulders or along the jawline. I invite you to release any areas of tension that you notice. Soften the neck and the swallowing muscles. Release any tension you feel in the abdomen, that's your belly. You can imagine the inner organs in your belly letting go of tension. You can soften your eyes, let them feel warm and relaxed, as if your eyes are floating in a pool of water. You may notice strange sensations such as tingling in a muscle or a ticklish feeling on the skin. Whatever comes to your awareness is okay. Just acknowledge it. Now let us turn our attention to the sounds around us. As your eyes are closed, what sounds do you notice in the sanctuary? You may hear small children. You may hear your own breathing or growling stomach. Maybe a neighbor shifting position, cars passing by, or canned goods being rearranged. Can you hear wind blowing against the windows? Having acknowledged these outward sounds, let us turn our focus inward now. Thoughts may float through your consciousness, and you can just let them float on by. Feelings may bubble up from some deeper place within you. You don't have to name it or put any words to it. You can just notice the feeling with gentle acceptance. Now I invite you to imagine your body and mind are filled with darkness and silence, like the nighttime void, or like the deep, dark night in a wilderness. Take comfort in the stillness, the restfulness of this dark space within you. You don't have to try to make anything happen. You can just rest in this inner darkness, knowing that you are safe in this moment. You can simply be. In the quiet corners within us, let us sense the healing powers of the body, the amazing ability of our soft animal body to restore damaged cells, to create new healthy cells, to bring balance to systems that have gotten out of whack. Let us acknowledge, too, the creative powers of our hearts and minds. From these mysterious inner regions comes all poetry, all music. From the inner dark emerges all sculpture and dance, all the art and cultures that are the heritages of humanity. Even consciousness itself, the great unsolved mystery of science, resides in the deep unknown of ourselves. I invite you to continue to be with your breath in a still, quiet mood as you rest a little while longer in the darkness, It might help you to be still if you trace something on your hand, like the shape of a heart or a star. We'll rest together for a little bit in humility and awe and gratitude for all the powers of the darkness within us.
Star does shine.
It was finally nighttime. For a few days, all the creatures were relieved. It was cooler, and many of the animals could sleep. The bats and the owls and other nighttime creatures were able to eat. The plants knew how to rest. Many of the creatures were happy that they could see whenever they needed to. They could stay up and play, work, and eat all day. However, their happiness did not last for long. The creatures that needed sunlight became sick. They were dying. The plants that did not bloom or create food. The bees did not make honey. Many of the creatures could not sleep without the daylight to tell them when to burrow. When the cold nights also came snow, which made them stay in their homes most of the time. One of these nights, Robin and Owl bumped into one another. They had to get away from their homes because they were miserable being cooped up all the time. They complained about the elements, the constant night. The owl complained, "I never know when to sleep." The robin complained, "I can't see where I'm going anymore." After a while, they realized they agreed on something. You don't always want it to be day or always be night. They stopped talking about what they didn't want and started talking about what they did want. The night and the day and the balance. Time to run and play, and time to be thoughtful and at home with family and friends. Time to grow and time to rest. Time for each insect and plant and animal to be who they were at the time of day that was best for them.
A little far ahead here. Okay, during our next song, those who have donations of canned goods and other shelf-stable food for the Cleric Harris Food Pantry in North Omaha can bring them forward during the song and place them in the box. And I think I have a couple helpers who are going to bring that big box to the front here. Meanwhile, the rest of us from our seats are invited to sing in the teal hymnal number 1002, Comfort Me. We're going to comfort all the animals as they struggle with this endless night.
Water, listening in a stream nearby, heard Owl and Robin talking together. Water went to tell the elements that she had heard. We might have to compromise, she said. The next morning, the elements called on the creatures to listen again. The earth said, "We heard Owl and Robin speaking together in agreement that you need both day and night." The sun had agreed to return, but conditionally. From now on, during some of the year, the nighttime void, stars and moon would have more time each day, and it will be called winter. But do not fret, for slowly more time will be given to the sun. And that time will be called summer. Reese?
You may always remember that you need the sun and the moon and the stars and the nighttime void. You need times of rest with family and friends. You need times of play, work, and to be outside. For some of you, that is nighttime and winter. And for others, it is daytime and summer.
All right, all our animals and elements may be seated again. And I invite forward Jerry Tritch, the head of our capital campaign, to share some important information with you.
I am tired. I have been celebrating all week, and I know all of you have too. We just had a unanimous vote to fix up the church, the building. You bet. And the RE roof replacement is scheduled to begin tomorrow. So, now to the business at hand. Always start with a good hat. Remember that. Remember that because you're going to be hearing it a lot over the next several weeks. Always start with a good hat. Several months ago, Kim Donovan, Mark Luskatoff, and I toured the church with Brian Zimmer. He's an architect. We wanted to get an outsider's assessment of the building's condition. Kim set up the meeting. And I'm the wrong person to point this out, but we would not be here today on the brink of $500,000 in renovation projects without her leadership and sense of urgency in dealing with our fiscal issues and addressing our deferred maintenance. So, thank you, Kim. So at any rate, after this tour of the building with Brian pointed to the roof and he said, "You know, I tell all my clients, always start with a good hat." And so that is the theme of our 2025 capital campaign, which will fund principally a new church roof replacement, that is, as well as a new elevator. The campaign kicks off formally on January 5th. You'll get a brass band and a more complete pitch on that at that time. All right, maybe you won't get the brass band, but you will get the pitch. Today is just a soft opening. It's kind of like early voting. For those of you who just can't wait to get your hands on a capital campaign pledge form, well, this is your moment. It's going to be available down in the common room after this service. We intend to conclude our capital campaign by mid-February, and then they'll be following the annual stewardship pledge drive to follow on March 2nd. And I see that Judge Randall is here today. Please stand up so folks can get a good look at you. Gary is, yes, Your Honor, thank you. Gary is leading the pledge campaign this year. It starts March 2nd, and now that I have introduced you, Gary, you can't back out, so Walt put me up to that. I'm going to remind you all more than once. I urge you not to reduce your pledge for the stewardship campaign later this year in order to make your pledge for the capital campaign. The capital campaign will do fine with whatever you can do for it, but the stewardship campaign deserves and needs your full financial support. There's no reason to have a beautiful facility like we have if we cannot heat it or light it and maintain our programming inside its walls. So, I hope you will be generous with both campaigns. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. And continuing on the theme of generosity, every Sunday we take up a collection and practice our spiritual value of sharing with others. One half of the loose currency or undesignated gifts in the offering plate goes to a cause with a local presence, which advances important principles of Unitarian Universalism. For the month of December, that group is the Alternatives to Violence Project, or AVP. AVP offers guidance, support, and workshops based on the belief there is a power that is able to transform violent and destructive situations and behaviors into liberating and constructive experience and cooperative behavior. Using the AVP curriculum, participants practice ways for changing opponents into friends and bringing justice out of injustice. Thank you for giving generously as you are able.
Before we move on to the tale concluding, Terry Lynn wanted me to mention that she has a table of books downstairs that are for sale. I believe free will offering that will be with the proceeds going to the capital campaign. This month we celebrate the return of the sun. We will call it Yule. On this day, remember to reflect on what old ideas you need to get let go of. As Al and Robin have done in accepting the importance of the night and day, remember to think about what you want to do when the sun returns. Most importantly, remember you need one another at all times of the year. The owl and the robin and all the animals and insects rejoiced. The sun has returned, and we are all here. It was a joyous day. Happy Yule tidings for all. And with that, the earth went to sleep under the snow. The fire element lit a big bonfire, and all the insects and plants and animals celebrated together. I invite you for rising for our closing song, 163, For the Earth Forever Turning.
Let me invite forward all of our elements and animals. I want to invite you to come forward, elements and animals, so that you can take a bow and we can show some appreciation for the story you helped us tell. Yeah. And thank you to all the other helpers behind the scenes. Elements, you can help us act out the closing words if you're inspired by what you hear. May the freedom of the air and wind be yours.
May the flow of the water be yours.
May the fierceness of the fire be yours.
May the firmness of the earth be yours.
May all the gifts of this life
The below and the above,
be with you now.
and remain with you always.
So may it be.